Picture this. It is 11 o'clock at night. The house is quiet. Everyone else has gone to bed. But there is a woman, 72 years old, sitting in her kitchen, staring at her phone. Her son is 45. He lives across the country. And tonight he called to tell her that he and his wife are having serious problems, that his business is struggling, that he doesn't know what to do. She listened for an hour. She told him everything would be fine. She promised to help. And now she sits alone in the dark, her heart pounding, her mind spinning, her own body forgotten. She hasn't slept well in 3 years. My dear friends, if you are over 60 and you recognized yourself in that story, even a little, then this talk is for you. I am Mahinda Sirithero and you are watching Lotus Dharma Path. Today, we are not going to talk about how to love your children more. We are going to talk about something far more difficult and far more important. We are going to talk about how to love them wisely. Because the truth that most parents have never been told is this: some of the ways you are loving your adult children right now are destroying you. And what destroys you ultimately cannot protect them. Before we go further, I want to say something from the heart. I know you love your children. I know that love is not an act. It is your nature. It is the first thing that was ever true about you as a parent, and it will be the last. No teaching I offer today will ever ask you to love them less. But the Buddha, with great compassion, taught us about something called upadana, clinging, attachment. He taught that even love, if it is not guided by wisdom, can become a kind of bondage, not just for you, but for the very person you are trying to protect. A river that overflows its banks does not water the garden, it floods it. So today, we explore 4 ways that your love may have overflowed its banks. 4 things you may be doing for your adult children that are slowly and silently flooding your own life. We are not here to love less. We are here to love wisely. The first thing I ask you to stop doing is this. Stop solving problems that your adult children need to solve for themselves. I know how this happens. Your daughter calls upset. There is a conflict with her husband. There is trouble at work. There is a decision she cannot make. And before she has even finished speaking, something inside you is already working on the solution, already planning, already rescuing. This is not a flaw in you. It is the deepest instinct of a parent. But let me ask you something. Your daughter is 43 years old. She has been navigating this world for decades. She has her own experiences, her own intelligence, her own inner resources. Resources she has never fully developed because every time she reached a difficult passage in the river, you were already there, building a bridge. What happens to a muscle that is never asked to carry its own weight? It weakens. The Buddha taught us about karma, the law of action and consequence. It is not a punishment, it is simply how life teaches. Every one of us, including your adult children, is here on this earth to encounter certain difficulties, to struggle with them, to grow through them. That growth is not an accident. That growth is the point. When you step in to solve what they must solve for themselves, you are not protecting them from the lesson. You are simply delaying it and adding your own exhaustion to the cost. Think of it this way. If you carry a child on your back long after they can walk, 2 things happen. They never learn to walk with strength, and your own back breaks. So what does wisdom look like here? It looks like listening deeply, fully, with all your love, without immediately producing an answer. It looks like saying, "That sounds so hard. I believe you can figure this out." It looks like trusting your child with their own life. Now, I want to be clear. There is a difference between a child who is in genuine danger and a child who is simply in difficulty. A parent should always respond to danger. But difficulty? Difficulty is the curriculum of a human life. Let them attend that class. When you do this, when you step back with love rather than leaping forward with solutions, something surprising happens. Not only does your child begin to discover their own strength, you begin to recover your own peace. The exhaustion of constantly solving other people's problems even people you love, is real. It is heavy. And at 70 years old, my dear friends, you have carried enough. The second thing I ask you to stop, and I know this one may be uncomfortable, is giving money to your adult children in ways that enable them to remain irresponsible. Let me describe a scene that is not uncommon. A man, 68 years old. He worked his whole life. He has a modest retirement savings, not extravagant, but enough to live with dignity and some security in his final years. His son, 40 years old, has never quite managed money well. Credit card debts, a car he could not afford, and now another phone call, another crisis. And the father reaches into the account he worked 30 years to build and transfers the money. Because what else can a father do? My friend, I hear the love in that question. But let me offer another question. What are you actually teaching? There is a beautiful parable that applies here. Have you ever watched a butterfly emerge from its cocoon? It is a slow, struggling process. The butterfly pushes and twists for a long time. And if you were to watch it, and out of kindness, out of compassion, you were to take scissors and cut open the cocoon to help it out, the butterfly would emerge, but its wings would never fully form, because it is precisely that struggle, that resistance, that pumps strength into the wings. Your financial rescues, however loving, may be cutting open your child's cocoon. The Buddha spoke of karuna, compassion. True compassion, he taught, is not the removal of all difficulty. True compassion is the kind of love that leads another being toward their own liberation, their own capability, their own strength. There is a difference between compassion and what we might call blind compassion. Blind compassion feels like love but produces dependence. True compassion sometimes feels harder, but it produces dignity. Now, the second consequence here is not only for your child, it is for you. When you give from a place of fear, fear of your child suffering, fear of their disappointment, fear of their anger, you are not giving from abundance. You are giving from depletion. And financial insecurity in old age is not a small thing. It affects your health, your housing, your freedom, your medical care, your ability to live with dignity in whatever years remain. Protecting your financial security is not selfishness. Let me say that again, because many of you need to hear it. Protecting your financial security in old age is not selfishness. It is wisdom. It is, in fact, an act of love, because a parent who is financially secure is not a burden. A parent who has depleted themselves out of misplaced generosity becomes one. So what does this look like in practice? If you choose to help financially, help once, clearly, with conditions, and call it complete. Do not create an ongoing system where your account is the safety net that prevents your child from building their own. And if you cannot afford to help, then saying so, lovingly and firmly, is not cruelty, it is integrity. Your money took your life to earn. Guard it with the same love you give everything else. The third thing, and for many of you this may be the most difficult one to hear, is this. Stop making your adult children's emotional state your own responsibility. Your son is unhappy, and so you are unhappy. Your daughter is anxious, and so you cannot sleep. Your child has not called in 5 days, and so your mind has already written the worst possible story. This is not love running too hot. This is love that has lost its boundaries entirely. In the Buddhist tradition, we speak of 4 great qualities of the heart, the Brahma Viharas, and the fourth of these is Upekkha, equanimity, sometimes translated as divine indifference. But that translation misses the beauty. Upekkha is not coldness. It is not detachment in the way that word sounds in English. Upekkha is love without losing yourself. It is the capacity to say, I love you completely, and I trust you with your own life. There is a difference between empathy, where you feel with someone and remain yourself, and what psychologists call enmeshment, where the line between your inner life and another person's inner life dissolves entirely. Many loving parents, by the time they reach their 60s and 70s, have spent so many decades in emotional enmeshment with their children that they have forgotten what their own feelings even feel like, separate from their children's feelings. Let me ask you something very quietly. When your child is doing well, are you at peace? And when they are struggling, are you suffering? If your inner state is completely controlled by the weather of another person's life, even a person you love more than your own breath, then you are not living your life. You are living theirs. And there is only one of them available to live it. I once heard it said this way, and I have remembered it ever since. When you carry another person's storm inside your chest, you have two people drowning instead of one. The most loving thing you can do, the most genuinely compassionate act available to you, is to remain steady, to be the calm shore, not the second storm. And this has real, measurable consequences for your body. Chronic emotional worry, the kind that parents carry for children they can no longer protect through physical presence, activates the stress response in the body. Cortisol, inflammation, disrupted sleep, weakened immunity. The science is clear. Worry does not protect your children, it only damages you. So, what is the practice? In the Buddhist tradition, we have metta meditation, loving kindness, and I invite you to use it in this specific way. When you feel the worry rising, when you feel yourself being pulled into your child's emotional weather, sit quietly, place your hand on your heart, and say these words. May you be happy, may you be safe, may you find your own peace. I release you to your own journey. Not because you do not love them, but because you do. Your peace is not a luxury. It is not something you earn after everyone else is okay. Your peace is your portion of this life. And no amount of worry has ever added a single moment of safety to another person's existence. Let them have their journey and give yourself permission to have yours. And now we come to the fourth thing, the one that in some ways encompasses all the others. Stop shrinking your own life in order to orbit theirs. I speak with many people in their 60s and 70s, and one of the things I hear most often, beneath the other concerns, beneath the talk of health and money and grandchildren, is a quiet, aching sense of, I don't quite know who I am anymore, outside of being a parent. Somewhere along the way, and it happened so gradually, so lovingly, you stopped making plans because the kids might need me. You stopped taking trips because what if something happens while I'm away? You turned down invitations, gave up hobbies, reduced your social world, let your spiritual practice fade. All so that you could be fully available at any hour for people who are in their 40s and 50s and have their own full lives. You became a satellite, circling, waiting. And here is the deep irony. Your children did not ask you to do this. And if they knew the full cost of it, most of them would be heartbroken. In the Buddhist and Hindu traditions, there is an ancient wisdom about the stages of life. In the later years, the tradition speaks of a turning inward, a time not of withdrawal from love, but of a deepening of the inner life, a time for practice, for reflection, for exploring the questions that only become available to us after we have lived long enough to ask them properly. Your later years are not a waiting room. They are not the part of the movie where you sit quietly in the background while the younger characters have all the adventures. They are, if you will allow them to be, among the most meaningful years of your entire life. The Buddha himself did not reach enlightenment as a young man. He did not reach it running a household, managing other people's crises. He reached it in stillness, in turning inward, in finally being present to his own existence. You may not be seeking enlightenment, but you deserve a life that is fully yours. So let me ask you something, and I would like you to sit with this question. Not answer it quickly, but really sit with it. If your children were completely fine, healthy, stable, happy, needing nothing from you, what would you do with your days? What would you pursue? Where would you go? Who would you spend time with? What have you been wanting to explore, for years that you have kept pushing aside? That answer, whatever it is not a fantasy. It is a direction. You have the right to move in that direction. Not someday, now. And here is something that may surprise you. Living your own life fully, with joy, with curiosity, with spiritual depth, is not abandoning your children. It is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. Because what children carry with them long after their parents are gone is not the memory of a parent who sacrificed everything. It is the image of how to age, how to face the later years, whether it is possible to grow old with dignity, with aliveness, with peace. Be that image for them. Live in a way they will be proud to remember. So let us gather what we have walked through together today. 4 things, 4 loving habits that have, perhaps without your knowing, been quietly costing you your peace. The first, stop solving problems your adult children need to solve for themselves. Trust them with the curriculum of their own lives. Trust the wisdom that struggle builds. The second, stop giving money in ways that enable irresponsibility. Protect your financial security, not out of selfishness, but out of the wisdom that knows a depleted parent cannot truly serve anyone. The third, stop making their emotional state your responsibility. Practice the great Buddhist virtue of upekkha, love without losing yourself. Be the steady shore, not the second storm. And the fourth, stop shrinking your own life to orbit theirs. Reclaim the days that belong to you. Live fully, live wisely. Be the example of what aging with dignity and joy truly looks like. My dear friends, none of these 4 things are easy. They ask something of us. They ask us to resist instincts that are ancient and deep. But the Buddha taught us that wisdom is not the absence of love. Wisdom is love that has grown mature enough to see clearly. You have loved your children with everything you had. Now love yourself with some of what remains. And in doing so, you will love them better than you ever have. I would like to close with a traditional Buddhist dedication of merit. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all parents and all children walk their paths with wisdom, with compassion, and with peace. May whatever good has come from these words be shared with all. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. If this teaching has touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. There is a parent somewhere, sitting alone in their kitchen tonight, who needs these words. Subscribe to Lotus Dharma Path for weekly teachings on wisdom, aging, and the inner life. And in the comments below, I would love to hear from you. Which of these 4 resonated most deeply? What has been the hardest one to let go of? Until we meet again, walk gently, breathe deeply, and remember, you are allowed to have a life. Namo Buddhaya.